this week's episode of MOAR Tech. I'm your Michael Amaran, and with us this week we have our co-host Chris, but also returning and most welcome face, our other co-host.
Hello.
How's everyone doing today?
I'm good too.
Always good to hear. In the audience, let us know how you're doing. Feel free to jump into the chat at any point. Let us know your feelings on anything that we're talking about. But this week we had 2 product reveals, so of course we're going to be doing our thoughts on them. The first one we're going to talk about is the Oneplus 6T. This is an Android device by Oneplus, the company that kind of came about by doing some very random and strange things when they really wanted to promote their phones, including having a lottery just for the chance to win a chance to buy their phone. But they've become a fairly popular name in the smartphone community, just for the fact that they have typically been a voice of reason in listening to their customers, actually providing things that their customers want. Though that may have started changing recently. Vicky, did you get a chance to watch it?
I can't remember if I watched it or not. I don't think I did. I watched the videos afterwards,
Fair enough.
but I don't think I watched the event.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the either, but I did watch the roundups after it. And I did do my reading up on it. But Chris, did you get a chance to watch it, or what did you do about it?
I just read it. Watch it.
Okay, so Vicky, as a iPhone user, what were your thoughts on the
Well, firstly, I absolutely love their notch choice. I think that that's the best notch out there at the moment. I like that the end screen fingerprint, they finally figured out a way to do that, and I think they're like the first to sell their phones publicly in the US that have that. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. They with the end screen fingerprint, they like to have like different. They have like this kind of sort of just like a technological type animation for like when you go to scan it, and they allow you to change between like 2 other animations. What else did I like from it? I think those are the main like things for me. Like their packaging as well. Like the camera quality is okay. It's not like, oh my gosh, super. It's not like draw dropping, but it's okay. It's not like up to like standard or like par as the Google Pixel, iPhone, or Samsung, but it's like right underneath. I guess it's possible, it's okay, but it's not like, oh my gosh, wow, the greatest. Let's see what else. I think those are like the really big things that people check for: camera, screen, notch, and authentication.
The screen is amazing. Oh man.
Yeah.
The screen is really nice. By the way, hey there, Jay Bruce, and I see you there lurking, Ali. What we're talking about? We are talking about, well, at the moment, we're talking about the OnePlus 6T, a phone that came out, well, was revealed this week. We're going to be talking about Apple's lineup a little bit later on as well. By the way, for those who aren't aware, Vicky is a packaging aficionado. She is very on point with her packagings.
Simple packaging. I like simple, clean packaging. OnePlus, like they had that. Everything was color coded to like their brand. And if people didn't know, like they got rid of the headphone jack, which I don't really kind of like check for. And I think that they already made it like known that they were getting rid of it. So I don't know why persons were like, oh my gosh, they got rid of the headphone jack, because like, they already came out and said, we're not gonna have it this year. So I was fine with that. I think that was like one of the main things that persons kind of like nitpicked about the headphone jack and the fact that they don't have wireless charging in a 2018 standard, which I don't use wireless charging. It's nice to have as an option, but I don't personally use it. But then again, I was waiting for air power that clearly got lost.
Clearly. Though I did find that thing on Apple's website in the help section talking about wireless charging.
Yes, like if it doesn't come out at the end of this year, because it's still in the coding that they're working on it. Some persons found it in the latest iOS 12 coding, so it's like still there, and like they're still working on it behind the scenes. But if it ain't come out until like the end of the year, coming out next year, hopefully, maybe.
Possibly.
But Chris, so what were your thoughts on the OnePlus 6T?
I thought it was an amazing. I mean, I thought it was a great upgrade to the OnePlus 6. They actually have a phone that looks, I would say, I mean, it's one of the better looking phones, period, of this year. I can't pinpoint another phone that probably looks better than the OnePlus 6T right now. Great screen. Sad that they use the same camera, but as a OnePlus 6, it was a upgrade there, but it's whatever. It's fine. They say they have some like software coming down the pipeline that should improve the camera. So we should see what that does. I mean, it's not going to be like a huge major improvement, but any improvement is good. So, I mean, it's just a great phone. I mean, for the price that they're selling it at, you're literally getting a phone that could literally run up there with Samsung, iPhone, and the Pixel in terms of performance, in terms of looks. Like when you pull out the phone, it looks like you have it looks like a flagship phone. So I mean,
at an affordable price.
Beautiful, exactly, and it's like a really affordable price. So
yep.
I mean, it's just all around amazing. It's one of the phones that I was looking forward to seeing, and I mean, it really didn't let me down. So unlike certain other phones.
Apparently, Jay Brucifer actually picked up one of those today. Jay Bruce, do let us know your thoughts on the OnePlus 6T. I am honestly a little bit curious what you think about it, especially since you're a little bit of a techie guy. Me personally, I was impressed with what the changes that they made, except for the headphone jack, because as much as people are saying like that's the way forward, I still would prefer it. So I don't have to go the route of the dongle or the Bluetooth headset. That said, this felt more like a weird shift in how they actually do their phone. So the reason why I say is because normally when they release a flagship phone earlier on in the year, let's say with the 5, which was last year, and then they do the 5T later on in the year, it's generally just a little bit of an upgrade. It's just something that some minor changes based on what people were talking about, what they prefer, this kind of thing in the next. But this year they changed a lot more than just little things here and there. Like they compared to the 60, this is almost like next year's phone. This is like a flagship built almost by itself. For starters, it has the notch. There's no headphone jack. Those are already two really big things with the OnePlus 6, which it did have versus what it now doesn't have with the 60. And so I don't really know how I feel about that, but I mean, it's certainly a way forward. I'm just kind of curious as to if this is going to be their way forward with that in the future. Oh, it's almost like bringing out two different phones each year.
I think they're going to stick. I hope they stick with this design. If they stick with this design going forward and like build off the design, I think that'll be a good look and feel for them.
Seems like it's like an S upgrade. They probably look at the 6 and then they're like, no, you could change this notch compared to how everybody else out there is addressing the notch problem. Probably looked at the essential phone notch because that one is kind of similar, but the essential phone notch is more curved 100%, and the one is like more kind of like sloops and it's like gradually come to the point, whereas the essential is just like
Yeah. Just go
Exactly.
straight up.
yeah, just was like possible. So they probably looked at that. They probably looked at a lot of persons that their notches, and it's like, we probably could address this better. So they decided to fix it with this one. I do like their design. I hope they stick with it because it's clearly it's either that, or you get the long rectangular body everybody doing, or you have like the little one dot thing that Samsung showed week before last. They're just like a dot on the screen.
Yeah.
So it's either between those three that how persons are going to address it. And I like how OnePlus addressed that one.
What about the Nubia X? Did you guys see that phone?
No, I didn't. Right.
Let's see.
That's one that came out. Didn't they have a phone?
It doesn't
before?
have a selfie camera at all.
Oh, this one. I was testing the lines.
And they have a full screen display on the back.
On the back.
And so the back is a selfie camera.
Oh,
so it shows you your, like, that's the only thing it's used for. It's only used for really showing you your the camera when you're trying to take a selfie. But yeah, you'll turn the phone around and then they'll show a little display and then you take it normally. And I guess that's touch screen too, so you could like touch it and stuff and do stuff.
Well, Jay Brucifer, his review on the phone says that it's snappy so far, but it usually happens at the beginning. He does like the headphones, but his headphones are Bluetooth anyway. Well, he likes the headphone jack. He's enjoying how non-obnoxious the notch is. The under the screen fingerprint scanner is responsive and Face ID is good, but you can't beat the, which I do have to admit.
Yeah, it's a really nice price. Yeah, the Nubia X, it looks amazing. There's nothing on the front, literally nothing. It's edge to edge display, literally nothing. The issue with that thing what Samsung did is it doesn't have a sensor. There's a camera but no sensor, and I don't know how I feel about that because I need a sensor. I mean, a sensor is the thing that when you put the phone up to your ear, it turns off the display because it knows your face is there. Without that sensor, that's not going to happen. So to remove that sensor, you're literally cutting off a feature that people expect to be in the phone. And it's going to be weird when it doesn't do that. And they're like, oh yeah, this phone doesn't do that because it doesn't have a sensor. That's going to be weird. And I think a lot of people aren't going to like that.
I have a feeling like I've seen a design like this before where they like add like a second screen to the back.
The back.
Samsung did it.
It wasn't a full screen display at the back. It was more like it had like a little quarter of the screen had like this little rectangular display in the corner.
So I'm looking at these photos and it has it's almost like the front screen, like the lock screen of the phone is on the back. Why would I want that? Like
so if you put your phone face down, you can still see the time.
If I have my phone face down, I typically don't want to see a screen.
I'm pretty sure they have settings to turn it off. It's just an option. I mean, I would hope that they have settings to turn it off.
I would hope.
But, I mean, we can see how it does. I mean, it's a Nubia X. No one's buying that. No one knows that brand.
This is true.
No one knows that brand. So
ZTE spin-off, baby.
They're trying to get up there. I think someone compared them to they're like Xiaomi's second cousin twice removed, something like that.
Oh. Yeah. That actually works out fairly well. It's Xiaomi and ZTE are fairly, people know them by name and like, and Nubia is ZTE spin-off child. Yeah, that kind of works.
It's interesting. I mean, I just like the whole front is clean. Like there's literally nothing on it. I love that.
That is a really nice look.
So I don't mind. And it's not like I take that many selfies, so
Yeah, me either. I rarely
it's
use
not like
my
I'll feel it.
facing camera.
Yeah, same.
But I think that's Marcus actually addressed it in one of his videos. I'm like, is it a him or like some of the multiple YouTubers that I subscribe to? But it's like, it's either going to be two ways you do this like full screen display. You have the notch, or you get rid of the front facing camera.
Yep.
Or what seems to be you build in a little hole and have the camera there, which is similar to the idea I've been trying to push, but though it comes to mind,
Or maybe a camera that flips around.
They've done that before. It did not suck.
It's because they implemented it terribly.
That is
Give it to
true.
someone who can implement it properly.
That's part of the problem right there. Finding the person that's actually gonna.
That probably won't work, but
Though
cool idea.
it is. I do have a concern though, like because there's a screen on the back of the Nubia. That's now another set of LCD that you pretty much have to take care of. And
You have a back glass. You already have to take care of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say just like
Phones have back glass now. Big whoop.
Yeah.
And it's the same glass as on the front. The only difference is it doesn't have a screen.
yeah, but like, what if you wanted to put a case on it? Now you have to get one of those clear cases.
Okay.
Don't most people use skin? Well, yeah.
I'm already
can't
against
use
cases
skins.
in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
I'm not a case or skin person in the first place. This is the first time I ever put a skin on my phone ever. So
After you already cracked it.
I mean, it's fine.
No. That's
So-
after he got it repaired when we went to New
So
York.
yeah,
don't
doesn't
make
matter.
it sound
Point
like
is, it's fine. It's fine,
he had to pay
so-
for it to be fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, everyone pays for their phone to be fine.
I like
Or
how
you
it's
just
just like
pay for a case.
exactly.
Case and a tempered glass, like that's what you need. If you don't want
It's
to
the
case,
only time I've ever cracked my phone, ever in my entire life.
I prefer to add.
And that wasn't
on the
even
side
my
of
fault.
caution.
Like my phone legit like suicided itself off of the thing I had it on because I didn't even touch it. Like it was just there. And then next thing you know, like I heard it fall on the floor. Like, how the hell did you fall? Like you were literally just sitting on top of the thing like the entire time.
It's probably because it's back and it was slippery, and so it slipped, and the protective case may have not.
Well, it's the only time that's ever happened. Like my old Pixel is fine. All of my other phones have been fine. All the Nexuses that I've had have been fine. I'm not someone who drops their phone constantly, so it's a one-off accident. Okay,
I will admit
does it
though, like,
scar me and make me run to go? Oh my god, I have to put on the case. Nah,
I'm the kind of person that drops my phone. Chris has seen this happen from even a very somewhat good distance and height.
great for you. I'm not clumsy.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for that, Chris. Thank you.
You're welcome. Come again, please. Come again.
Oh my god.
I drop my phone as well, but it's more. It's usually like if it's on the table, I accidentally hit it. It's never and if it slip out of my hand, if I have too much things in my hand, other than that, I don't really drop my phone. But then again, I have a case, I got a screen protector, and I have Apple Care Plus. So I don't mind dropping my phone. And even though these cases
I
are
get that.
very like thin, for some reason they protect your phone. I don't know what it is. When you buy the Apple cases, like even though they don't like them thick, bulky cases that people just have on their phone, like a tank, I still hate that. Like, even if it ain't that, like it's still protecting my phone. So I don't feel too bad when I drop it.
That's fine. I just said, I mean, I buy this expensive phone and I'm buying it for the design. I want to show off the design that I purchased because, I mean, if you cover it up, then it's like, nah, what's the whole point? Especially when, like, especially phones like that are higher end because they have that aesthetic. That's why people buy them. People buy Apple phones because you want people to know that you have an iPhone. People get Samsung, like, I mean, well, Samsung, the beauty is in the screen. You can cover it up. No else want the back of your Samsung? It's not that like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Samsung's design. But I mean, a lot of these high-end phones, they tend to have really great designs. So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to show them off. But then you're covering up the design.
Case. If you get the first party case, it's going to have the big Apple logo in the back of the case. So therefore, people are going to see that you have an iPhone.
That's great for you guys, iPhone users. Everyone else, no.
They don't have an Apple logo in the back. Exactly.
I mean, but what's the problem with something like a clear case that you can still see the back of the phone?
See? Yeah, like that.
Clear cases look ugly. They look terrible.
Really?
That looks, yeah, I don't like it. That looks bad.
Well, works for me.
And clear cases, they tend to show scratches a lot easier. Like when you scratch that clear case, that comes out so easily because of the glare. When the glare hits it, like it's very clear and it's very obvious. Also, dirt can get under that, and now you have to like take that off and like dust that off and like clean that. That's too much hassle. That's too much work. Opaque case, you don't have that.
But you should be opening it up and cleaning it if there's dirt underneath there. So that's just telling you to
guess what? Guess what? I don't have to do. I don't have to open up no case and clean out no dirt under it. That's what I don't have to do. And secondly, you're not going to see anything either because there's no case there for the dirt to chop underneath. So I'm anti-case. People could buy cases all they like. People love cases. It's great for them. But me, nah. I'll stick with a skin. A skin is like the closest I'll go to. The furthest I'll go. I won't do a case.
A deep brown skin.
How are you liking your skin, by the way? I do remember you saying this is your first one. Wow. Okay, it's all right.
It's just 3M. I mean, they just literally just ship you 3M when you put it on over the phone. Big whoop. They just have the specs in order so they know exactly how to cut it, and so it like fits over your phone properly. That's literally all they're doing. But other than that, it's just 3M. It's like, and it's not even custom. That's the thing. It's not even custom. They have preset skins that you have to buy, and it's the same skins for all of the devices. That means they literally have sheets of these 3M that they just put through a cutting machine to cut out. This is so simple. Like they're making so much money off of such a simple concept. It's wild. It is wild how simple of a concept it is and how much money they're making off of it.
Yeah, it's the same reason why people get particular kind of cases, like wooden cases and stuff like that. Make it look a certain way.
Yeah, but it would be so much better if there was a custom where I can put my own image on it, which they can do, but they don't.
And they also get like a lot of publicity from YouTubers. Like if a favorite YouTuber say, hey, get this is what it is, blah blah blah, then the person's gonna jump and get it.
Yeah.
For example, I saw Herschel that.
This is true.
But it's such a great bag though. Like honestly it is. It really is.
It's like everything.
Team Herschel.
Laptop safety.
Oh man.
Secured. Did you get the little pouch thing to go on the inside? No?
Yes.
Yes. I just put on my cables. All them dongles and my charging adapter. I threw all them right in there. I have my cloth to clean my screen. Mm-hmm.
It's such an amazing bag. It really is. And it looks so dope. Oh my goodness. That's the best part about how dope it looks too. And it just feels so good and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still right here just enjoying my North Face.
Yeah, good for you. Team Herschel over here.
Hard. Like, all three of you, Dwan included, are Team Herschel, and it's like...
And Dwan was right there saying, I don't know. Dwan had the same attitude as Michael. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then she said...
Then she saw me buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But she saw me buy it and she's like, oh my god, and she's just freaking out about it. She's like, yeah, and she's like, oh, and Quellion just was like, oh, this and that, and it just to stay there, don't crumple with nothing in it and all that. She's freaking right out. Now she have one too. Team Herschel.
It takes me a little bit more convincing. I'm sorry, yes.
We ain't trying to convince you. We happy with our product and our purchase.
Okay.
So, we ain't trying to get people on here, but we are very grateful for people who are on Team Herschel. Oh yeah, Team Herschel.
Anyway.
They ain't no Team North Face.
Yeah, there is just not apparently this stream.
Oh,
It's more
like
of
not
the.
even North Face is trying to get like a team North Face. It's so sad.
That's because a lot of people just end up getting North Face.
Because they don't know about Herschel. Because they probably don't be on YouTube.
At least Herschel got a community. Got a North Face community.
Everyone that has one, like
y'all
they
in a
look at
community, y'all don't talk. Y'all just have it. Herschel
exactly.
people, we have Team Herschel. We have like a whole thing. It's like
who outside
I
of
see
you and
you.
Dwan, like, have you seen with a Herschel bike?
Over here, not much. Actually, let me say that. I haven't seen anybody yet.
Okay,
But then again, I don't.
But the point is, when we do see someone, we're like, I see you, I understand, I got you.
And the
You
same
be
thing
like
happens
that
with
someone
North
who have a
Face.
North Face. Nah.
No,
You
the
can
same
see
thing.
someone with a North Face bag and be like, oh yeah, man, I see you got that North Face bag. Nah. You can do that now because we talking about Herschel. And now you won't be like, oh, hey, yeah, North Face though. But they can look at you like, yeah, okay. So what?
Like,
But people of Herschel,
from you.
they'll understand. They'll understand because Herschel is all about that look and that aesthetic.
And it's still like even though it has a nice look and aesthetic, it still could hold a lot.
Like Kipling has a community. Kipling has a following, and like if you have a Kipling bag, it's like I see that Kipling. Like they had that from since we was in high school. Like they had that for years.
And they come to take your monkey.
North Face does not have that community.
This monkey, like this random monkey call.
Yeah, bro. The monkeys.
Yeah,
So
the super
right?
monkey.
And so I mean, they just like these like brands just have like that brand following. You know who else have that brand following? Apple.
Apple.
Apple has
This
that
is true.
brand following.
This is true. Speaking of Apple, like we also had their product lineup that actually happened. We had, and I'm finding this very weird. Pretty much every single rumor, just like the last event, happened. Vicky, do you want to lead us off with all of this?
Well, yeah, like Michael said, just about everything that was leaked about the computer, down to like the iPad, like the whole schematic and everything was just correct. But then again, in the coding for iOS 12, like Apple clearly had like this little silhouette image of the new iPad lock. So like that already confirmed like everything that person's found in the coding from before that came out. So that's how we already knew how it's gonna look. The main question that people were wondering was like, what was the 3 dots on the back of the iPad? What was like the little side, the extra side piece that they had as well, which everybody answered, like everybody got answered for as the keynote happened. That was like the only thing people were really waiting for. But the iPad was confirmed, edge-to-edge screen, new Apple Pencil, no USB-C, USB-C now, no more lightning cable, no headphone jack, which I think is kind of sort of disappointing for, especially if like it's the pro market, because it's different. iPad and iPad Pro are different. iPad Pro are targeted towards pro marketed people. Like as they advertise to have persons using it for something music related, something in like the creative field in regards to like photography, design, illustration, stuff like that. And especially for persons that use it for music, then by them ditching the headphone jack, it sucks for them, especially if they're trying to use USB-C to like transfer data onto something. So that means you can't plug in your headphones to your USB-C cable because you have to use that to like transfer data. So you have to get Bluetooth headphones, but the quality isn't going to be exact same by using something digital than if you want to use it analog. So for those persons, it's going to suck. But for everybody else, I think it's going to be fine. The new pencil was basically just like everybody said, and they fixed the issue that persons have with the first Apple Pencil, whereas if you take the cap off, there was like no place to put the cap and you want to charge it because you had to stick the pencil inside the lightning port to charge it, which I always kind of was scared for because I always felt I could have hit my pencil and it's going to break inside the port. But the simple way that the persons found that they could resolve the whole cap thing was like there's actually like magnetics in like the 4 corners of the old iPad Pro. I just like rest the cap there and it's gonna stay in like one of the 4 corners. But they fixed that with the Apple Pencil too, because now there's no cap. It charges by attaching the same like hitting thing that was on the side of the iPad. That's actually like a dock for the Apple Pencil too. So you just like stick it there, it magnetically charges because they have like I think over like 100 magnets inside the new iPad now. You stick it onto that little dock area and it's gonna automatically pair and charge your iPad, and it's also charge your Apple Pencil, and it's also going to stay in place. So you don't have to be like, oh, where am I going to store my Apple Pencil? Like, it's always just going to be attached to the iPad. Let's see what else. They changed the form factor. So instead of it being curved, they had to make it more like the form factor from the 4S series and the 5 series, where it is like square, kind of like a sandwich. Simply because they have to figure out a way to attach the pencil. But I think they have to figure out a way to attach the pencil. That's like the best, because they couldn't attach it to like the curved surface. It has to be something flush. Let's see what else that they have. Oh wait, yeah, I said that. And then you have the highlights of the event, which was the Mac Mini. Because everybody wanted to refresh the Mac Mini.
Before we get too much further with the iPad, Chris, what were your thoughts on the iPad Pro?
New iPad.
Oh my god!
It was a new iPad. I don't have much to say about it because I'm not a fan of tablets, so I really don't care about the new iPads at all. I'm not a tablet person, so I was sad that I think I agree with Quell. I think that them removing the headphone jack from the Pro was a miss. Simply from the fact that they're supposed to be targeting professionals. That's why the Pro is in there. But professionals use headphones that need headphone jacks. So to remove that, I think, is a big miss. And then with something, and then they made it bigger. So it's like, okay, you have a bigger iPad, but you remove the headphone jack. And the reason why you guys have removed the headphone jack in other devices, phones, is because you complain about space. Really? Is this really now what you're doing with the iPad? Like now, what's your excuse now? Space was it before. You made this device bigger, plus you removed the thing that you were complaining about in terms of space. So, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And it kind of comes across as they're just trying to sell more AirPods. They're just, I get it. They're trying to double down on the AirPods, and they're trying to be like, listen, this is it. If you get an iPad, no headphone, AirPods for you too, buddy. That's just all it is. It's just them, it's clear cut. They're just trying to sell more AirPods at this point.
That's what I thought that they did for the iPhone 7. So when I saw them remove the headphone jack, and they was like, oh, we can use this as a solution, AirPods. I was like, okay, you're clearly trying to push the wireless headphones that you guys are selling to make more money in your pocket. So, and the dongle.
Yeah,
oh,
I was just going to get onto that.
The dongle is actually the top selling Apple accessory in Best Buy stores. So if they're really making a killing off of selling each dongle for $10, because it's like if 100 persons come to Best Buy within 1 hour to get a dongle, that's like $100 and something right there.
And now the thing is, since they switched to USB-C, this is a new dongle, so now you need to buy a new dongle for your Apple product.
Yep.
Just to listen to music and maybe charge at the same time, depending on which dongle you get.
New dongle, new pencil, new case.
Yeah, that's true. The new case as well.
Yeah, see, I'm anti-case. I'm anti no headphone jack, all these things. And everyone's just like, oh yeah, now you got to spend more money. I'm trying to save more money.
I think it's actually more expensive than the Slate.
Yes. Oh, wait, sorry. No.
Well, no, it's more expensive than it originally was too. But it's also more expensive than the Slate, which is its main competitor at this point. If you're not looking at the Surface
But
Pro,
it's slight
which I think,
sunproofing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't say the Surface. I thought Surface was like one of the main
yeah,
competitors because persons use the Surface like literally as their everyday laptop.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of my YouTubers like, oh, you know, I don't really have my MacBook anymore. Like I sold it because like I use my iPad Pro with everything. So
there's that aspect too. But I want to touch on that when we get to the MacBook area. But you were also then talking about, oh, right, and the USB-C, because they're switching over to USB-C, you can also charge your iPhone with it using the Lightning to USB connector. So, and if I remember correctly, one person said even Apple didn't know if you tried to plug in a USB-C printer what would happen. And so they're just kind of waiting to find out. And so, you know, all these different places with USB-C, plug it in, see what happens. I'm a little weary about that because we already have a lot of different standards with USB-C. But, I mean, someone ends up being fried.
Don't be like me as I fried my PSP.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's not a good...
I'm pretty sure I have like both my PSPs somewhere. Right? I should probably find.
You probably should. But Vicky, you were also going to start talking about the Mac Mini.
Oh yeah, but before we get to the Mac Mini, I'd like to address that the only thing that I do not like about the new iPad Pros is that antenna line. I hated the antenna line on the iPhone 7, and that's exactly what they put on the new iPad Pros, and I do not like that. I think that's the only thing that I don't like. I didn't really like the shape either, but that's
doesn't matter. You put in a case over it, so.
I just thought the shape was like, because like the shape now it curves, so like it fits nicely in your hand because it's curved. But the shape that they have, well, the old shape curved, but the shape that they have now, kind of like just like a square, so it's gonna be really abrupt in your hand.
Just get a case.
Like after I saw like that's all he was gonna use to like attach the iPad, the Apple Pencil, I was like, okay, fine, that's cool. So the shape isn't too bothering for me, but the antenna lines, no, I don't like. I don't like the antenna lines. I hope they change them next year or the year after, whenever.
But you're just gonna put a case over it.
I have a clear case on the one now that I have, so you could see the antenna lines.
That's sad. I wonder how's the pen gonna work with the case.
Oh, the case is actually the case don't cover the sides, so it's like literally like a sandwich. So like it looks like an ice cream sandwich. Like you have the case, the front of the case, the iPad in the middle, and then like the back there, and then like the sides aren't covered.
Yeah, it's like one of those foldable ones I found.
Yeah, so you're just covering the back and front. That's it.
Okay.
So to move on with let's start with the Mac Air, the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini.
All right.
Which one?
Let's go with let's go with how they did it. Let's go with the MacBook Air.
Okay, so you have the MacBook Air, which everybody was crying for an update for, and they didn't really do much like with the internal stuff. They basically just changed the outside, the external. Like that's literally all everybody checked for. So now the MacBook Air is kind of like a smash between the MacBook Pro and the 11-inch MacBook. But they just smashed them together and came up with the MacBook Air. So it has the thin bezels, no more aluminum, thick bezels around the screen. They updated the FaceTime camera to FaceTime HD camera. Changed the keyboard from, I think the keyboards they have now is the scissor keyboards to the butterfly.
No, they're still butterfly, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The old keyboards that they had in the MacBook Air was the scissor. Yeah, and then like now they changed it to third gen butterfly keyboards. They had Touch ID instead of the power button, so that means like when you open up your laptop, it's automatically turned on. They also made the trackpad larger, and instead of being the trackpad that they have now, it's going to be the haptic trackpad. So you don't really press it, just like tap it.
Yep. Which is nice.
I think that's what it. Yeah.
You're missing one key thing. if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
yes. They kept the shape and there's no longer USB Type A and no mini display port, anything else, just strictly USB-C and the headphone jack.
2 USB-C ports, and remind me if I'm wrong on this, but didn't they add Touch ID on that as well?
Yes, she said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, USB-C / Thunderbolt 3. Because apparently the original MacBook,
Yes.
the small MacBook doesn't have Thunderbolt 3, and he has USB Type-C.
Yep. Which is one of the problems I'm facing even with this laptop, because I wanted Thunderbolt 3 on it, and but honestly, I have... Anyway, you know what?
I forgot. And they changed the display. It's now an HD Retina display instead of being the crappy display they had before.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm just a little surprised that you're actually saying that it had a crack. That's all.
They haven't updated I got this MacBook Air from 2014 when I was in COB, and they haven't updated it since then. So I know for a fact.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my other thing. I'm it's great that they finally updated it, because it's I think it's probably their best-selling MacBook. And it's kind of sad, because it's your best-selling MacBook. You would think that you would update this, and they didn't. And now that they did, it feels like a half-baked update. There's do whatever to make people happy, and that's it. Do the bare minimum to make people happy, and that's it. It kind of felt like a slap to consumer faces, really. In my opinion, with the update. I think they could have done a lot better with the update, and I think that if they didn't do the 11-inch MacBook and they just did the Air and the Pro, that they could have a better Air product to release.
I agree. But
because you don't really need that 11-inch MacBook. I don't even know who they're trying to sell that to right now. I really don't get who that's for.
Was supposed to be, portable, and if a person just want to do small things for college students, stuff like that.
Yeah, get an Air.
Yep.
The Air is basically for the same thing. So they're kind of in the same bracket. Well, they're still in the same consumer bracket that Apple puts them in. So it doesn't make sense to have both.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
And now, not only are you facing it with that, but don't forget the iPad Pro is supposed to be like a laptop replacement in a sense. And so it's iPad Pro versus MacBook Air versus
MacBook. But people still I think people still use tablets and iPads differently from they would a laptop. If you're doing a lot of stuff for school, you need to type reports and write papers, you're not going to grab your iPad to write a paper. You're going to get out your MacBook or your MacBook Air, and then you're going to write your paper on that. So even though, they still kind of want it as a laptop replacement, it's not going to replace a laptop. At least people don't use it in that fashion, especially when you consider school and schoolwork. iPads are traditionally more of a media consumption type of device versus a creation type of device, aside from artists. I would say artists use the iPad a lot simply because they can use the pen to draw on it, and that would be the Pro. And it's really good at that. But other than that, it typically tends to be a media consumption device. People use it to watch Netflix a lot. People use it to scroll through Twitter, look at YouTube, go on Facebook. That's the kind of stuff people use it for, chatting and stuff like that. Not for, like I said, if you're trying to write a paper or make a presentation, stuff like that, you're not going to use it. You're going to pull out your MacBook and use that. So it's fine that they come up with it would have been fine to have the iPad Pro and the MacBook Air. That's fine, in my opinion.
Same here, but I don't think they want to get rid of the Air because this is Steve Jobs' baby. So I think that's why they hold on to the Air. So
I think.
But yes, we're talking about MacBook Air Pro. The reason why, if I remember correctly, Vicky, the last thing I heard was keep it because it's Jobs' baby in a sense, and that's the reason why they didn't want to touch it.
And it's also one of the top. Yeah, I think Hold on. Less in the affordable range.
Hold on, just say that one more time for me. Things kind of froze up a little bit. still freezing up. I'm not.
I was saying that I think that it's also like their top selling MacBook because the more in the affordable range compared to their MacBook is like an entry level to MacBooks, well, actually, no, Mac OS. And then as you continuously use it, you will eventually hope that you'd upgrade.
True. That is actually very, very true. And it made me wonder, like, at what point, like, do we really need 3? Like, we talked about, yeah. Do we need 3 of these laptops?
No, you don't.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Kind of sort of the same thing.
Like, ask the MacBook. Why do they have a MacBook? Ask that shit.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Especially with the new MacBook Air being cheaper than the MacBook that they have now. So the MacBook
silly.
is really going to get no love at all. Unless like person just like slow when they don't realize that the MacBook Air have like better updated specs for it compared to the like normal MacBook.
Anyway, I don't know what Apple's gonna do. I personally say get rid of the regular MacBook, keep the Pro, keep the Air.
Keep the Air.
Like I mentioned to you guys, maybe just call, instead of it like being a Pro device, just call it the MacBook and just move forward with that. And like, this is our new, like, we're moving the Pro to be our official lineup for the Mac, so we're just gonna call it the Mac.
They can come back right with the Pro again. They just want that name there to make it sound fancy.
Yeah, I thought the Pro name that's match everything else. You have the iMac Pro, you have the iPad Pro.
Need the MacBook Pro.
Like the only thing that doesn't have Pro on it is the iPhone.
That's coming soon.
Yeah.
Next year.
That's what the next one gonna be. We need
iPhone
to get no
10
iPhone
Pro.
11. They could I could just be the iPhone Pro. That's it. Just it.
Actually, the person thought the 10 would have been named last year.
That's true. That's actually very true.
Yeah.
And now we have the 10.5C. Sorry, the 10R.
Yeah, 10R, 10S, 10S Max.
Which, you know, the 10R is pretty much just a 10 with some different colors, some dumbed down hardware, and a better chipset.
Yeah. Someone on YouTube in the comments of the video that I was watching, so that's why they named it the 10R. It's because the letter after S in the alphabet.
That would be interesting. I know Apple has officially said that it has no real reason behind it.
Yeah, not no real reason behind it. Yeah.
But that would make a lot of sense.
It would make sense. When somebody said it on YouTube, I was like, that makes sense. R comes before S in the alphabet. Actually makes sense what they did.
It would have made even more sense if the R was released before the S and the S Mac. That would have made my day.
Yeah. But they were
Their naming convention all over the place at this point. Like Apple used to be on point with their naming convention, and that used to be like one of the things that like stood out about them. And now it's like, what y'all doing? Like y'all just sound like Samsung. Samsung's really wilding out with their naming scheme, and it's like Samsung always come up with these like retarded names, and it's like, what? How'd you guys get this? Before it used to be very sleek, very, very chic. With Apple, and now it's not. So
last year threw them off because they didn't name it what it was supposed to be named.
Yeah.
But last year threw them off. So now I'm waiting to see what they're gonna name their iPhone lineup next year.
Me too.
Because they can't go with 10 anymore because they already did 10S.
Mm-hmm.
After the S series is released like a main number.
Yeah. So and they skipped 9 completely. So
yeah. So like the 10R is like the 9 because the 10R is literally the 8 smashed with the 10. Just like put it together.
They should have just stuck with X. They should have just said X, but they won't be like, no, it's 10. Okay. Yep. You guys can just skip 9. All right, fine. And then after that, everything you're going to use are letters.
Whatever. Say X?
A bunch of people are saying X.
Yes, like
Because that's what it is. I don't care what happens.
4.5 and 4.5 out of 5% says X. No one says 10. Unless like they actually the person said no. They say 10.
Because they skipped 9. If Apple had an iPhone 9 and then after 9 they came out with the 10 and they used the X, everyone would have said 10. Because it would have made sense because it's a 10th iPhone. This isn't the 10th iPhone. So you can't say 10. No matter how much Apple wants to push it. It's like, no, that don't make sense. People can count, Apple. Yeah, that's the thing. Counting. So it just doesn't make sense. So I would be very interested to see what they do next. Like, I mean, are they gonna go with 11 and drop the letter and just go with 11? That would be weird because then it's like, yo, really skip 9, like for real. Like,
I mean,
what
they
happened
have.
to 9?
In this lineup, they didn't even mention like the 8 or anything along with it. It's just the 10R, the 10S. So it's gonna have to move to something else.
Yeah, but because they used a letter, like that's the thing. They didn't use the number 10. They used the Roman numeral.
Yeah, no, most persons don't realize that last year was the 10th anniversary for iPhone because not much persons really check for it. So persons will automatically say X.
Yep.
Maybe
Like it was a nice idea what they tried, but it was a poor execution.
Yeah, maybe they'll drop the lettering next year and just be like iPhone.
So there's one thing I'm glad they didn't drop, and that's the Mac Mini. People were asking, like, what is happening with the Mini? Because there has not been an update in years. And they finally provided for that. And I mean, from what I saw, it was a really nice upgrade. You want to lead us in with that as well, Vicky?
Make me actually want to purchase a Mac Mini. So outside it basically looks the same like a large Apple TV, but this time they gave it a new color to Space Gray. And they changed the internal specs. Some versions in it looks like it may have adjustable around. We'll see in person, like actually get the Mac Mini in hand. I don't tear down, see what's happening. But they upgraded the internals. They added USB-C, Lightning. I'm not Lightning. And Thunderbolt 3 ports. Let me see what else they added.
I remember correctly, didn't they add 6 cores to the GPU? Or was it the CPU?
Yes. They had 6 cores. Actually, no, 4 is the base, and you can upgrade it to 6. Then the memory is now 8 gigs, and you can upgrade it. The max upgrade for memory is 64 gigs. The storage still comes at the base level, which is 125. 128, and you just like upgrade it. The max that you can upgrade the SSDs to is 2 terabytes.
That's actually not pretty bad. And if I remember correctly, oh Lord, I had it in my head just now.
You still have the headphone jack, guys.
That still has the headphone jack.
Yeah, I think the computers are going to be the last thing that they remove them from, if they even decide to move them.
That would be a sad thing if they actually do, because there are so many things that they plug into those that actually have them pick up on sound.
Yeah, so I think they're going to stay on the computers for a bit longer.
I would hope. I would honestly hope.
If they remove them, they're going to lose every single audio file, period. Because they still use like Sennheisers and stuff like that. They use a lot of different audio equipment and they need headphones. And if they remove those from their laptops, they instantly axe that crowd. Instantly. Like podcasters are gone. Like they're not going to use their Macs anymore. Like they just won't be able to. Like that would be a terrible move if they did that. Terrible. That'd be terrible in like to remove that in the next 5 years. Actually, in the foreseeable future ever.
Yeah.
Because I don't see it ever. I don't see audio files ever dropping their wired headphones and wired connections. I mean, even when you look at some speaker systems, they still use that old like literally the wire and you're sticking into the hole and like clamping on the hole. Like they still stick to that. So it's just I don't see it ever happen. That would be a terrible move if they did that.
I could see them doing it. They're gonna remove it and replace it with the next Lightning. Not Lightning. No, the Thunderbolt 3/USB-C port, and just take it to dongle.
Yeah, it's a bad move they did.
I could see them. I could see them doing that.
If they did that, they literally would lose all of their audiophile people overnight. Like none of them would buy that new.
Because there's nothing that you could do to actually get the same type of quality if you just plug it in on a laptop. Like no one that I know uses Bluetooth headphones on a laptop or a desktop,
like
especially
DJs
a desktop.
That's the thing. Like currently, right now, a lot of DJs use Macs. So you go there and you see like a DJ has like their MacBook up, whatever, and like that's a look. They will drop. They will lose like audio files, or that's a huge percentage of people. That's people who do there's people who do video editing because they use headphones. There's people who do sound mixing and sound editing. That's them. That's for movies. That's for music. Like all of the music people are gone. DJs are gone. Podcasters also gone. Like I mean, that's a very large set of people to push away from your product, and those people almost exclusively use Macs. Like every time I see a DJ, every time I see a lot of podcasters use Macs. Every time, like even a lot of movie people and filmmakers, even a lot of them use Macs. Sound editing, they use Macs. Like I mean, audio engineers, they use Macs a lot. Like this is a very common laptop to see in that field, and so to remove that, at that point, it's like, okay, you guys clearly do not know who your customers are or what your customers want, and you guys literally are pushing your own agenda at that point. And those customers are not gonna be like, oh, okay, well, we'll just go along because it's Mac. No, they care about sound more than anything else, and they will always side with sound.
They will hold on to their older stuff just to make sure they still get the ability to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would stick with their Mac as long as possible, and then they would upgrade to something else, and then that means you've lost that customer because they're not going to buy the new whatever, Mac whatever. So that would be incredibly. I would be incredibly shocked, and that would be a terrible move on Apple's part if they did that, because I think that's something they would actually feel, because they would lose such a large subset of customers.
Let's give them a couple years and see what they do. I'm high key waiting for it to see what they're going to do later on, because they already dropped it from the iPad Pro, which is there for pro users. So it's only a matter of time.
I mean, it makes sense for the iPhone and for the iPad. It makes sense because they want to get closer to the. It also makes sense for. Well, that's because of their vision that they want to go in, and the vision that they want to go in is they literally want to sell you a brick, like literally just like a rectangle phone, and that's it. Just that, no holes, no anything. It's just a solid, straight like phone.
No buttons,
phone. No buttons, no holes to put in, nothing.
That was the original plan.
That's the vision for the iPhone, and I could see that vision also being applied to the iPad because it's just a pad, like it's just a tablet. So I could see them pushing that onto the iPad as well, and that's why I say it doesn't shock me that they did it for the iPad Pro. I just think that because it's a Pro, they should have kept it and remove it just from the iPad itself, but kept it for the Pro. I think that would have been fine.
That's how I felt as well.
Yeah, but because I get the vision that they're going for, just that solid, like no buttons, no holes, no anything. It's just wireless everything. I get that, but for a laptop, no, that's not a good vision for a laptop at all.
Imagine if they did that to the Mini. Like, no one would buy the Mini.
Yeah, no one would buy the Mini. Because that means you have to use Bluetooth speak. No. It's no.
Well,
like the Mini doesn't have speakers, period.
Yeah, I know. That means you would have to buy Bluetooth speakers because you can't use wired ones, and wired speakers are again superior over Bluetooth.
Oh, and they changed the cooling process of the Mac Mini now. They updated it.
We always have to wait until people get the stuff and use it because they've not been great with cooling at all lately.
Well, they removed the fans in the new MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air and the MacBooks are fanless devices. And they add new colors with the MacBook Air.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna be very curious to see how their heating works, because they have not been on the ball with heating so far for the year. Especially with that MacBook Pro. Come on, that was bad.
The MacBook Air the same way they did the MacBook, then I think they'd be fine. Josh, I haven't heard persons get all
the difference between the MacBook and the MacBook Air is that the MacBook Air is a lot thinner, therefore things are pressing against each other and things are actually touching. That means that heat can travel a lot, can spread way easier on the MacBook Air than it can on a MacBook. So that's like, I don't know how they decided to deal with that, especially without a fan. Thankfully, it's not that powerful, so it might not just generate that much heat in general. But see, the problem with Apple is they'll be like, the reason why they had heating issues is because they go so much with design and how it looks and how like it feels and functions. They completely didn't even check for heating. They completely didn't check. They check for sound and like, oh, it has to be quiet, and looks, oh man, it has to be thin, and that's it. And it's like, okay, but what about heating? Like, you have to properly compensate for that, and they didn't in the MacBooks that they released earlier this year. They didn't do that. And we can clearly see that.
Be specific.
So
because the i5s are fine.
Yeah.
It's the i7.
Yeah, because they upgraded the i9s. Yeah. With the i9s, because they didn't compensate for the added ability. So it might be fine because the specs are lower. It's not as high as like it could be, but at the same time, like I said, it's so thin. Like their Air is like ridiculously thin. It's super thin. No. So literally all those components are like pressing up against each other.
Remind me, Vicky, the Mac Mini, that has an option between the AMD Ryzen processor and processor. What exactly is it? The i7 or the i5 that's inside the Mac Mini?
I'm gonna double check right now. I know the MacBook Air, it has i5. Now the original MacBook, let me see what they have in it.
Well, I want to know about the Mac Mini that's coming.
Oh, I just said MacBook. Yes, you're right. No.
Because everyone's talking about like that's going to be the go-to Mac device going forward and stuff like that.
This is i7.
So that's fanless, if I remember correctly.
No, this one has a fan.
Okay. Good, because I was about to say
they supposedly changed the cooling system for the Mac Mini.
Does it have one fan or two?
I think it has a similar fan, a similar fan process to the Mac Pro, whereas like it just circulates and it pulls the hot air out, push the hot air out and pulls cool air in. So
one fan.
Yeah, because it's only like a size like, it's shaped like the Apple TV but larger. So it has like one fan in the middle.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see the heating too and how it cools.
Yep.
But we won't know until we get hands on. So until people start getting hands on and start reporting.
And tear downs. I can't wait for the tear downs.
Oh god, the tear downs are gonna be interesting. I have a feeling the MacBook Air is going to be a little bit harder than before. The Mac Mini is going to be pretty easy because of how it's built. The iPad Pro is going to be difficult. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Because of the magnets? Because they usually just used to... They could just open, like how they used to open up the iPhone 5 series. But I know with the iPads, they just heat the adhesive and then use the suction cup to like pull up the top.
I think it's gonna have a similar thing, but it's gonna be a little bit more technical. It's gonna be a little bit more detailed. So it's gonna raise the complexity score. I don't think it's gonna be too much, a lot more complicated, but I think it's gonna be just a little.
And the last thing that we can notice about the keynote from Tuesday is they increased the price of everything. So the Mac Mini jumped up the price, MacBook Air jumped up the price, iPad Pro jumped up the price. And the fact they didn't even touch the regular Pro's price, they removed the large 12.2. Anyway, they removed the large 12-inch the 12-inch iPad Pro from last year. Thank God they made that smaller, because I thought that tablet was super huge for no necessary reason. But they got rid of the ones from 2017, and they only kept the 10.5-inch, and it's still at the same price. The starting price is $649, which is just the wireless one, no cellular. I checked the pricing for the cellular one that I got, which is the Wi-Fi plus cellular, still the same price. I think it's like $7 something. The Apple Pencil still $100. The new Apple Pencil is like $129 now. The new iPads start at $799 or $799. I'm gonna double check right now. I think
it is.
I think it's $799.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So they started $799. So they did the same, similar to what they did with the keynote in September, whereas they didn't really drop the price on their older products. They just raised the price of their newer ones.
Yep. But 2018 has had a lot of interesting devices that's come about. On a whole, and this is probably going to be one of the last keynotes for devices that is actually going to be happening. So it's ending off on an interesting note, in my opinion. Especially with these pricing and stuff. It doesn't give me good hope for 2019, but I'm hoping things change.
I don't think
At least the event was nice.
Yeah, the event was nice.
At least the event was nice. We can see that.
Yeah, I actually was excited for this. Like when they was talking about the computers, like I was out of work, jumping out of my chair, like yee! Like I was getting like excited. But for the September one, I just thought, okay, like I already know the phone was coming, I already know the watch was coming, so it wasn't really like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this thing. The music for this event was much better. Like I've watched the MacBook Air ad multiple times, and I'm still in love with the songs that they decided to use, because the songs that they used for the revealing for the products in September wasn't as good as the songs they're using now. Sorry to all the artists that they picked, but the songs weren't good at all. Last year, the songs
sorry. Y'all need to get better.
Yeah. Last year, the iPhone 8 reveal song was good, and the iPhone 10 reveal song was good. And the fact I have both of them on my phone, and every time I see the ad for those, I'm still excited for it. But like the ones from September, no. The ones for October were really good that they decided to use. So I think I don't think they put much work in the September event. Like I think that they put more work into October one. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because October was where they were revealing like all the things that persons really wanted, and they were targeting more towards the pro community. That's the reason why they put more work into.
I think they did it because their September event got trashed off. So that's really why I think they really went out, because it was like, listen, people talk about us bad. Last event, we go wild on this event. That's what I think happened.
I mean, they went all the way to New York to have this event as well. So they wanted things as a shake-up to be a change and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they were able to like add decals, window purse, everything. Like they decked out the what is the music hall, the music center, wherever they went, the music place. They decked it right out with like Apple Nelia for the event. At the Steve Jobs Theater, you can't really do nothing much. It was like a floating roof, literally.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can't really do nothing much. But for the one from New York, I thought it was a pretty great keynote, but then that's just me, and I'm probably biased toward Apple. But it was great.
I admit it was a good keynote. It was one of the better ones from this year.
And even though most of the stuff leaked, it was still an enjoyable keynote.
Because they made it entertaining.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then they had Lana Del Rey at the end, and she was singing. And they told her she couldn't curse, so she couldn't curse in the songs.
Yep. This look on Chris's face right now. But anyway, guys, that wraps up this week's episode of MOAR Tech. If you've missed any part of this episode, feel free to check us out on morecookies.com or on our YouTube page at youtube.com/morecookies. MOAR is for the more. Don't forget, we are also we normally stream on a bunch of different places, but we are almost always streaming on Tuesdays for Esports Wrap at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for MOAR Tech, which is this show, it's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. Now, don't forget as well, if you are someone that does not or has the ability to maybe watch us as we're doing it either live or the videos, the recordings, then you can always listen to us on audio as a podcast. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. You can go to our website as well. Again, that's morecookies.com, or pretty much any podcasting service you use. We're almost guaranteed to be there, except for SoundCloud. But until next time, guys, MOAR Tech, and oh, great. What am I doing? I'd like to thank everyone that actually came on as well. Chris and Vicky, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
And thanks to you commenters as well. And like I'm saying, until next time, guys, take care.